Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between Tarson and Socke here on Scrap Station. We have Socke spawning as the Cyan Protoss player over here, someone telling me that's not blue, that's Cyan. And against Tarson, who's spawning over here as the, Cyan Protoss versus Red Terran. I don't know if you can tell, but I actually tried to make Socke's name Cyan over there, so that is a little bit closer than the blue that I had been describing him earlier. So anyways, into the game, we have a command center now in play. We should be seeing some sort of 10 supply depot. Also, we should be seeing a 9 pylon there. Pretty standard opening so far. Pretty interesting games. The first game that I casted on Lost Temple, and don't want to spoil anything there. Anyways, back over here, Tarson with that standard 10 supply depot should throw down some sort of 11 barracks, 11 or 12 barracks, and then followed by a refinery. Back over here, we now have the Nexus chrono boosting the probes over here in order to try to get a stronger economy. This shoutcast is sponsored by Raptor. Go ahead and check out their website. There's a link in the description. It's essentially a Facebook for gamers, and what that allows you to do is every single time you play a game, regardless of what system it's on, as long as it's linked to your Raptor account, your friends will be able to play with you and see you. Now back over here, we already see Tarson dealing it out. Peppy the probe and Stevie the SCV trying to fight it out. Now a refinery coming into play. I'm not surprised by that, as this probe trying to get more scouting information. This SCV continuing to move around within this barracks over here. Probe trying to cause a little bit of harassment. That SCV, however, making that barracks, and this probe unable to really get any damage off. We do have an assimilator and a gateway coming in. So a gateway coming in, Socke going to be opening up with that standard gateway, followed with a cyber or a pylon, and then a cybernetics core most likely. Back over here, probe still wandering around, as we have one marine going to be trained before we get any sort of tech lab. This probe in position to block this tech lab currently. We'll see if it's really going to work. No, marine's going to pop out in just a moment, and now the probe trying to go after a low hit point SCV. And now that probe, realizing that the marine is nearly going to be done training, decides to pull out, and another marine being trained. So it looks as though Tarson wants to go for an earlier factory as opposed to going mass marauders. Back over here, we do have the cybernetics core already being warped into play as the second assimilator being warped in. So two assimilators going for a more of a heavy gas strategy, and SCV now moving out. There is still this probe, but that probe now finally sniped down by these marines over here, and now another marine being trained. So I believe Tarson is suspecting some sort of void ray play. Void rays are very strong on this map just because of the number of destructible debris and rocks on this map. You can get a void ray fully charged very easily. And then a fully charged void ray, even though these marines are not armored, it still does a significant amount of damage towards them. We do have a reactor now coming in, so a reactor on this barracks. I'm not sure if the factory is going to throw down a tech lab and then do a swap for Hellions, or if he's just going to try to train up more and more marines. I got to assume that he needs a tech lab on a barracks sometime shortly for marines in order to get that stim pack and in order to get the combat shield. The timing on this swap would be absolutely perfect. The reactor takes 25 units of time. The tech lab takes reactor takes 50, tech lab takes 25. So if you do a swap there, no, just gonna go ahead and double train marines and get siege tanks. Siege tech, probably the next thing that's going to be researched. There is one stalker and one zealot out on the move. See, no siege tech research. Perhaps gonna try to train up more and more siege tanks instead, as now we have double gas coming in from Tarson. So Tarson coming in off a double gas. Taking a look at the harvester count, Socke obviously a little bit ahead because of that chrono boost. I'm able to train three probes in the time that it takes a Terran player to train two, as long as he has the energy. Stalker's now going to push in, and now out comes one siege tank. That siege tank is able to deal damage faster than the Stalker. That siege tank with a range of 7 and an attack speed of 1.04, dealing 25 damage towards a Stalker. So that Stalker, I do not believe, will try to do any sort of pressure or push there. Stalker, or that siege tank, does not yet have siege tech, finally being researched as a second siege tank now being trained up. We are getting another command center here and a supply depot, currently supply locked Tarson. Back over here on the Protoss player, we are going into a 3 gate with a robotics facility, so Immortals may be coming in the near future. Now, in my experience, I really like to try to counter any robotics facility play with a starport, and the Banshees do a really strong number against Immortals because they are able to deal 20 damage per attack against Immortals. Those Immortals. And because it's a double attack, it really depletes the shields very quickly. On top of that, after running through the numbers and the calculations, the Banshee actually does more damage per second against a Colossus than a Viking does. And a Banshee only costs 25 gas on top of that. So there's my tidbit for the day for a Terran player. Try to get Banshees to counter Colossi. That they also work out very well. And they also deal damage towards Stalkers. I know what you're saying, Stalkers can shoot down the Banshees. That's also true for Stalkers against Vikings. And it actually takes more shots from a Stalker to shoot down a Banshee than it does for a Stalker to shoot down a Viking. And yeah, go figure about that. Anyways, back over here, aTnSocke now having this expansion and really running off of a really strong 4-gate into a robotics facility, also training up with this one probe over here. Perhaps he is expecting some sort of Banshee harassment coming in from Tarson, but Tarson not going for any Banshee harassment yet. There is only 2 production. Oh, sorry, there is a Raven being built in the back of the base. So Tarson was trying to hide his tech. And does he see it? No, aTnSocke does not see that there is a starport there. That observer is not going to move in to reveal it. So that is very interesting. However, as soon as this Raven pops out, that observer will be revealed. We do have a scouting farm or a scout supply depot now being placed down here. And then perhaps we're going to have a siege tank position here and going to go ahead and siege up as well. There is this observer. Observer will be able to see all these Marines, but I do not see any sort of research coming in from any of these Marines just quite yet. Stalkers now pushing in on these destructible debris. I do not know if Tarson is able to see this. It does not look like he's... Oh, he is in fact responding to it and deciding to pull back. No, not engaging. This is going to be a very difficult position for Tarson to try to fight back. Siege tanks now on the move in order to try to deal with this Stalker harassment. Supply depots now being thrown down as well to try to perhaps get around this whole entire army here. Siege tanks really need to get in position, and they're not moving out in time. Siege tanks finally going to siege up. There is one Immortal, and now we have SCVs coming over. Stalker is going to be forced to run around this position here and try to get in. Now sniping some of these supply depots. One supply depot down. 2 more supply depots going to get taken down. One was canceled, and now that SCV was taken down as well. So things not looking good. There was a Marine over here, I believe, shooting at something. Not quite sure what it was. And now that Raven trying to get desperately to that 100 energy, most likely for that point defense drone. Point defense drone definitely shut down Stalkers. And those Immortals are also, and those Immortals will still be able to deal that damage, as I do not believe that point defense drones are able to intercept the attack of an Immortal. I think I need to click on one to read up on it. But yeah, anyways, over here, siege tanks, a fair number of siege tanks. Army-wise, Tarson is a little bit in the lead, but aTnSocke is really containing the Terran opponent. The Terran player generally likes the turtle anyways, but with this back door taken down, I think what we should see from Tarson is Tarson should probably put a siege tank, 2 or 3 siege tanks here with a missile turret or 2, being able to shoot down any of those units, and then that way he can be able to cover this very narrow choke point. And then all he has to do is put a supply depot here in order to block these destructible debris. The aTnSocke really doing a great job so far, though. aTnSocke now going to go ahead and throw down 2 extra gateways here, and now we're going to see him running off of a 6 gateway with a robotics facility, and going to get Zealot charge and the level 1 weapon upgrade. Level 1 weapon upgrade has not been researched yet. It looks like though it's going to be the armor upgrade first, and now going for Void Rays. So aTnSocke getting a very strong army indeed. There is that Raven in the air, and this SCV now moving out. Tarson just sitting in his place playing Sim StarCraft, trying to build the perfect base. There isn't one supply depot here. Should probably get an SCV on that as quickly as possible. And now the couple of Zealots sitting over here. The sight range now losing another observer. So observer is now getting taken down. There are a couple supply depots in position trying to hold off this whole entire attack force. And oh, look at this. And now, sorry, Marines over here, Ravens, and now Medevac's going to move out. We do have stim for those Marines. We are getting the combat shield, concussive shells, and the level 1 weapons upgrade. So those Void Rays, when they come out, are going to be even stronger. The Void Ray will be able to deal significant damage off of those upgrades, as we have 2 Void Rays in the air. I do not see a fleet beacon yet, but a fleet beacon, and I would love to see a fleet beacon, see some motherships, see some Void Rays, movement speed increase. even some carriers. Carriers would be very, very strong against this very, very ground army. But now in comes Tarson. Tarson moving out with a very, very strong siege tank marine army, and without any colossi to try to intercept this. I do not think that Socke's unit combination is strong enough. There are void rays, but those void rays need to really get charged up in order to start their attack. And things are not going to really work out here. If they charged up against these destructible rocks first, that may have actually been better, destroying those destructible rocks and then coming in. Void rays pulling away, already very, very low on hit points. Now going to start focusing on these siege tanks. Siege tanks taking damage, a lot of damage, as these void rays trying to charge up, perhaps getting more and more damage as well. Marines trying to get underneath. Immortals and Stalkers coming in and joining in on this fight. And wow, Tarson not in a good position at all, but all of these void rays are going to get taken down by these mass marine army, and now doing a great job saving that, and then throwing down 2-point defense drones. And I think that was going to be the game, or at least a really, really large swing in this fight over here. One void ray, a lot of zealots. Zealots do have zealot legs, so they will be able to attack very, very quickly. Immortal now pulling back. We do have more zealots being brought in, and now that level 1 weapon upgrade should be coming into play. 2 more void rays coming in as well. Zealot legs now coming in. Now we have those void rays. Void rays trying to focus down a Viking. One Viking taken down. But this prismatic charge really needs to get up and running on this void ray. As long as it's fully charged, then it deals significant damage. But it's not enough damage, and down goes that last void ray. Still more fighting, more warp in needs to be coming in, more stock, more zealots, more something. And really the production of SocK really, really suffering at this stage in the game. Vikings now coming out, and now mass zealots coming in. So we may see perhaps some auto turrets. A void ray now focusing this Raven. Raven going to be taking a lot of damage very, very easily. Down it goes. And now, with that one Raven gone, it's going to be hurting. We still have Tarson with a stronger army. Those Vikings going to be hunting that Void Ray. Vikings using that very, very long range, able to shoot and scoot, pulling away. Vikings with a slow attack speed of 2. So using that in-between time, Sentry's attack is not intercepted by a point defense drone. Very, very nice use of force field, trying to save one of those units, but no, sacrificing a zealot instead. SocK is now on the defensive. Will he be able to hold off against this ever strong and powerful encroaching army coming in from Tarson? Tarson also having a lot of medevacs in the air. So those medevacs doing a great job healing this really, really mobile army of Marauders and Vikings there to counter off those void rays. And now more stalkers need to come in, and we should also see, are we getting carriers? Yeah, we're getting carriers. So the carrier has not yet arrived, but will be there. And now feedback coming in on some of those medevacs. Those medevacs taking some damage, as we now have an Archon warping in. I do not see Psystorm now being researched. These units trying to pull away. Zealots without that charge are not faster than those Marauders. Those Marauders with stim able to do a lot of damage. Stalkers continuing to warp in. Are we gonna get that the psionic shockwave dealing a lot of splash damage, trying to tear apart all of those Marauders? But no, the massive numbers still too much, and out come carriers. The carriers have arrived and will be able to push back this whole entire ground force. But now we have these Marauders coming in to try to just take down as many buildings as possible, perhaps trying to take down some key tech. The Templar Archives are exposed, so that Templar Archives, it may get shot down before it's gonna go ahead and finish, as there it goes. And now it's SocK doing a great job getting the proper counter units there in this fight. Level 1 weapons upgrade already on those interceptors, so those interceptors dealing more damage. And will SocK be able to recover from this fight? He does still have this high yield mineral location down over here, so SocK is running off of 2 bases. SocK does has taken a significantly more losses, 30,000 more losses, but because of that high yield mineral location, was able to still stick within this game. SCV is now doing some long distance mining here, as these 2 mineral patches are all that are left. Stay tuned for part 2 of this replay between Tarson and SocK here on Scrap Station.